Starting over. I'm going to be cooking some ground hamburger for my stroganoff that I plan to have for dinner tonight. Now what I have here is actually some ground Angus beef. I was going to purchase my regular hamburger that I would normally purchase, and I was going to spend about $3.50 a pound for it. And then I went over to what I call the day-old section for the bread, not the bread, but the meat. And I found this, which is normally like $6 a pound, for the same price that I would have purchased my regular hamburger with. Now this one has to be used today, which is no problem. You can see it still looks absolutely fantastic, and it smells wonderful. It's still good. It's just $2.50 less than it normally is, and it's a better choice for me. So what I'm going to do is start to heat up my pan. And again, if I'm going to cook some meat that has a little fat in with it, I'm not going to add any fat to my pan when I cook my onions. So I'm going to put some onions in here. I have my little container full of chopped onions, and I'm just going to put enough at the bottom there to cover the pan. So I'm going to leave that there for a second and have it start to heat up a little, and then I'm going to crumble my hamburger over the top of it. I'll put that away, and then I'm just going to crumble that on top. I'm just going to turn that up a little bit more, not too fast. I don't want it to cook too fast. And of course my hands are absolutely immaculately clean. And just throw that up there. So it's going to take about a couple minutes for this to start to cook and start to brown. So what I'm going to do is I will go ahead and just kind of clean up the kitchen a little bit, get out what I need next, and just wait for that to cook. Okay, so fast forwarded through time here, and my hamburger is almost completely done. In fact, I think it's really close to done. So what I'm going to do is tip this to drain it. I'll take this in, tip it over down this way. I'm going to push all of the meat up to the other side so that it can drain. You can see even with the higher quality of meat here, there's still a lot of extra fat in there. So this is the reason why I didn't add any butter or oil or anything like that to the pan to begin with, because I don't need to. So that's just one extra step that I don't have to do, one less ingredient I don't have to buy and use. So I'm just going to go here now. Again, I'm going to drain all of this off because I don't want to eat all that. I'm going to stick this in a coffee mug, and then when I get done draining all this, I'll stick the coffee mug in the refrigerator or the freezer. And then when I dispose of it, I can dispose of it in the garbage can instead of down my sink. You don't want to put this down the sink. This is not a good thing to do. It will, stop up your sink, and it'll make the sewer system for the city all icky. So we'll just go ahead and just drain all this and get rid of that later. Now, what my grandmother used to do was just save all of these drippings, and she just had a can on the back of her stove that anytime she needed to make gravy, she would go ahead and just ladle out a bunch of the grease that she had on the back of her stove and turn that into gravy, the old country style, which I will show you how to do that later. But I won't be using grease that's been sitting on the back of my stove. I will be using other things. Now, if I was going to make something else, say like if I wanted to make hamburger gravy over mashed potatoes or something, I would go ahead and use this here for my gravy and not throw it away. But I don't need it today, so it's going in the fridge. Okay, so now I have my hamburger, and with my onions there, as you can see that. The next thing I'm going to add to this would be my cream of mushroom soup that I made earlier. Doesn't that look fabulous? Now, and I must admit, that does look much better than that other brand of condensed cream of mushroom soup that you can buy at the store. Now, I know it's cheaper, it's a lot faster, but if you have an extra 10 minutes, go ahead and make it yourself. I'm going to stick this in there, just like that, because really it did only take me about 10 minutes. It was a little bit more expensive, but I think once you taste the difference between the homemade cream of mushroom soup and the store canned stuff, you'll never go back to that kind of stuff. the other stuff is just icky. But in a pinch, the canned condensed cream mushroom soup will work. Now I'm just going to stir this together, just like that. This isn't the last step. There's still a little bit more that I need to do, but I am going to just let this sit on a low heat. In fact, I probably want to put it on low heat. I'll probably just cover this up and let it sit on the warm burner for about 15-20 minutes, just so those flavors can all melt together. All right, now as you probably also noticed too, I haven't used any salt and pepper in this. The bouillon cube that I used in my cream of mushroom soup is plenty salty enough. And I don't really like to put pepper on anything until the very end. So that choice is up to you, but that's how I'm leaving it. Let that sit. Okay, so with dinner tonight with my stroganoff, I am going to have broccoli. And I'm starting to put things together now. So on my stove, I have a pan of water that I've put this on high. And I want that pan to boil, so that's where I'm going to put my noodles in. And then I have my sauce from a little bit earlier. It's on low heat, and I'm going to kind of heat that up just a little bit more, and it should be nice and yummy. And my broccoli, I'm just going to cut those up, and I'm going to stick them in a pan with the ever-present butter in it. So you notice I don't have very much water in there. Don't really need a bunch of water. I'm just going to chop these up into small pieces, and then I'm going to, well, not really small pieces, but about that size there. And then I'm going to stick them in my pan and just bake or cook them. Put them on high, and I'm going to let them boil for about a minute or two, and then I'm just going to put the lid on it and let them steam. And then that way they should be perfectly done, not overdone and mushy like some people put with their broccoli, but it should be nice and yummy. So I'm going to stick that off to the side. Got about that much. And if I find that I need a little bit more butter or a little bit more water on that, I'll put some on there later. I'm going to add some sour cream, and I'm going to add probably this whole thing. Maybe not quite, but we'll see how it looks. I don't want to add the sour cream until the very last moment, because if I do, the sour cream will start to get really thick and really bitter tasting. So I'm just going to add this at the very end. I'm going to take it off heat and add that on there, and then right before I mix it with my noodles. Now on my noodles, I'm going to use extra wide egg noodles. That seems to work best for me. I'm going to cook them for about 8 minutes, and then add the sauce in directly into the pan. Now I did not put any salt or anything in my water here, because I just don't like to cook with salt until the very end at the table. So that's up to you. You can do that or not, either way. Okay, and the noodle water is boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and add the noodles to this. I'm going to stir it up once or twice, and then I'm going to let it cook, keeping an eye on it, for about 8 minutes. Okay, so the noodles are done, and I'm going to drain these in the sink. I'm just going to drain them really quick. I'm not going to shake them or anything like that. I'm not going to rinse them with any cold water. I'm just going to drain them, stick them back in the pan after a couple seconds. And then to keep them warm, I stick them back over here on the stove. Now the burner's been turned off. On this one, I'm going to add my sour cream now. I'm going to turn the heat off, because I just need to put this in here and have it melt in. And I'm going to use about half of it to start with. And I'll just fold this in. Oops. Try not to make a big mess while I'm doing it. It should just melt right in. And then once this gets mixed together, what I'll do is I'll stick it in the pan and then let it sit for probably about 5 minutes to redistribute any kind of flavorings and have the rest of the noodles soak up any kind of flavorings into there. And then I'll get my broccoli, which is finished cooking also, and then we're going to serve up some dinner. At this point, when I get done with this, completely and totally put it together, I'll take a little taste of it and see if it needs any salt and pepper. Let's see here. Looks really good. And stick this in here. up. Now you don't have to serve it this way. You could serve it with the noodles and then the sauce on the table, and then just have people, you know, spoon their own sauce over their noodles. But I like it this way with the noodles. My timer's down. That tells me my noodles are done. So I like it this way because the sauce will kind of get soaked up into the noodles, and it just tastes better in my opinion. Okay, so, and then my broccoli is done also. You see that here? It's all nice and green. It smells heavenly. Okay, so dinner consists of broccoli and stroganoff made with my homemade cream of mushroom soup, sour cream, Angus beef, onions, some spices. The broccoli was just cut up and steamed. I added a little bit of salt and pepper on there because it did need a little bit, and it tastes fabulous. So I hope you enjoy it also.